Man, I wish every day was Earth Day. I'm gonna go on a rant here about litter that I pick up in the woods. Litter bugs me. I spend a lot of time out in the woods, connecting with biodiversity. I cherish nature. Often, I find myself picking up litter and pieces of packaging or wrappers in the forest. I tend to stuff my pockets or fill my backpack with the trash I collect so I can recycle it once I make my way back to town. What kind of wrappers and packaging do you think I find? Mostly synthetic candy bar and candy wrappers, soda cans, beer bottles, and various different packages for processed foods with ingredient lists that sometimes contain more food chemicals than there are plant varieties in the forest. Do you wonder why the people who eat these types of foods and drink these deleterious beverages simply think it is okay to throw the wrappers and bottles on the ground and leave them behind? Do you know what type of packaging I have never found while in the forest or as I pick up litter in other places? I never find organic or vegan product packaging. Maybe because most vegan food is not in a package? I don't know. But I never see empty bottles of organic beverages either. If you think in alignment with me, you might wonder why this is. I find that when people are conscious of their health, they also become aware of their environment and they understand the importance of protecting, preserving, and appreciating all that we have left. If someone is sedated by the food chemicals and is destructing his or her body with cigarettes, alcohol, refined sugars, meat, dairy, gluten, GMOs, caffeine, there is a greater chance that person will be unaware of the beauty that lies in nature around them. We are now experiencing something known as global dimming. A smaller percentage of the sun's rays are reaching the earth today than there were 20 years ago. Industrial pollution, animal agriculture, and the geothermal engineering and cloud seeding programs that some refer to as chemtrails are mostly to blame. If you live in a city which is entirely synthetic and industrialized, you are not only at the epicenter of global dimming, you are also being exposed to city water that is heavily saturated with cancer-causing chemicals such as fluoride and chlorine, and the food supply is not as fresh. This lack of nature, clean water, and fresh food could be sabotaging your true nature and depriving you of finding your purpose in life. Being in this environment disconnects us from the natural world. In addition to food chemicals and industrial pollution inhibiting our ability to distinguish between a garbage can and Earth's surface, it has now been established that up to 80% of the food we are buying from stores, eating, and serving our children could be the reason for learning disabilities, behavioral disorders, and several diseases and degenerative conditions that have become so common today. All consumers of food who do not grow their own organic food or support local organic farmers are a part of an experiment being conducted by the biotech, food, and pharmaceutical industries. Without any adequate testing being carried out to confirm that genetically modified foods are safe, the government is still permitting food products to contain genetically modified ingredients to be added to our food supply. In studies on laboratory animals, these foods have been known to cause cancer, infertility, sterility, gastrointestinal disorders, and other ailments. Close to 80% of all processed foods served on shelves in grocery aisles are contaminated. As more independent studies consistently reveal that these foods are doing major damage to lab animals that eat them, the FDA still approves them for human consumption. In fact, they still refuse to require labeling of these GMO foods simply so consumers have the right to know whether or not the food they eat is contaminated. Their reasoning for not requiring labeling is that there is no difference between a genetically modified food and a natural food. While they argue that there is no difference, they maintain patents on each of these foods that are genetically modified. The reason they were granted these patents? Because there is a difference between genetically modified food and natural food. This seems backwards to me. If we are eating food that is not natural, how can we expect people to pick up their trash rather than use the ground as a garbage can? Maybe they think there is no difference between garbage and nature. Perhaps they are so heavily sedated by food contaminated with GMO pesticides and insecticides and food chemicals that they truly believe Earth is a synthetic trash bin. The majority of the wrappers and packaging I retrieve from the ground in the forest is from food products that are loaded with refined sugars, corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup, soybean oil, canola oil, and several food chemicals. All of these ingredients are concocted using genetically modified food crops. If it is not sad enough for you to watch children drink and eat these beverages and foods, or knowing that they are littering the packaging from these products after consumption, consider the serious obesity problem and onslaught of childhood cancers and diseases that are associated with these products. Our children today are consuming pizza, cheese, milk, and yogurt products that are contaminated with GMO Pasolac, which is the recombinant bovine growth hormone, or RBGH. They also have aspartame added, other farming and antibiotic chemical residues. They're eating meat that is considered to be as carcinogenic as smoking cigarettes due to the high concentrations of harmful animal protein, heterocyclic amines, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, bacterial endotoxins, nitrites, nitrates, saturated fat, cholesterol, and other compounds that are linked to cancer. They snack on candy and processed foods that are saturated with ingredients that are genetically modified. They drink sugary drinks that contain massive amounts of genetically modified sugar. This is a serious indicator that something needs to change. The reason why so many kids are frequently sick and why rates of childhood cancers and other serious childhood diseases have skyrocketed since the introduction of GMO food to our food supply in 1996 is likely because the food they are being served is not natural. They are eating the wrong foods, drinking the wrong drinks, learning the wrong information, and getting misleading advice from so-called medical professionals who know absolutely nothing about curing disease. Prescribing poisonous chemicals derived from petroleum or pharmaceutical drugs that treat the symptoms rather than discovering the root of the problem and teaching the body to heal itself entirely through optimal nutrition is not the right way. So who do we blame? Why is it that we always have to point the blame when we should be taking responsibility for our own negligence and ignorance? Aside from us allowing misinformation to seep into our brains, we can partly fault the mainstream media for failing to publish accurate articles and for refusing to expose the truth on the news stations and on internet headlines. We can accurately agree that there are programs that have a role in feeding our negligence and ignorance for being puppets to the industries and corporations that are responsible for selling us the garbage food and drink products that are making us sick. They are also responsible for supplying public schools with the poisoned food that is being served at lunch, as they teach children lies, force vaccinations on them, and make them believe it is okay to fill their bellies with what is truly cancerous food. There is no reason to beat around the bush or GMO sugarcoat things. The food is causing disease. We know it, and we have to stop this madness from escalating further. What about us? What about our role as parents, as role models, as educators? We all continue to sit around and watch our children get fatter, sicker, and less likely to live disease-free. Rather than stepping up and demanding that the schools serve better food, or simply packing them their own lunches to bring with them to class, most parents are too busy arguing over politics, blaming the politicians, and doing everything they can to disguise their own role in the problem. Even if they did pack lunches, mostly they would pack processed foods that are full of more GMO ingredients and other cancer-causing chemicals. We have more power as the people than any person in Congress. We simply have to come together as a unit and eradicate the issues ourselves. The Democrats and Republicans both continue to fail us, but we are so bothered by their lack of action that we diminish any actions that we could be taking on our own to get things done. We can fight back by refusing to give in to what makes less of us. Rather than continue to plant GMO seeds, eat GMO foods, and let them poison us through the meat, dairy, egg, food, and water supply, we can refuse their seeds, grow our own organic food using heirloom seeds, filter the water we drink and shower in, and transition to plant-based diets. In doing so, we decrease the product demand and they go out of business. Thankfully, there are organizations such as the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. You can access their website at pcrm.org, and they are working to change the menus in public schools. The Center for Food Safety is also raising awareness about GMOs and how we can avoid eating them. It is our duty as parents and our responsibility, once we know the truth, to raise awareness about the dangers attached to eating GMO foods and foods laced with chemicals that trigger sickness and disease. What if we could get all of the athletes, musicians, and entertainers to unite and declare that it is time to take our country back from corporate terrorists and sedated government puppets? It should not be difficult. What if LeBron James, instead of endorsing soft drinks that create cancer in children and his fans, went to the owner of the Miami Heat and said, "Listen, Mickey, if you guys don't start serving fresh, organic green juices and raw, organic vegan options here at the stadium, and if you don't remove the deleterious foods such as hot dogs, GMO popcorn, nachos, cotton candy, and other nasty items, as well as sugary drinks that are causing cancer, diabetes, and obesity, then I am not playing another game here." How do you think he would respond? I'm sure at first he would assume he has lost his mind. When he realizes this is a serious demand, though, that is when he would act to make these changes. My bet is that he would make these changes rather quick. This would also go for Derek Jeter, Peyton Manning, and any of the most famous athletes. Think of what would happen if Beyonce, Dave Matthews, Bruno Mars, and all of these high-profile musicians did the same thing at venues where they performed. What if their managers told the venues that they would not perform unless they served fresh, organic juices to replace sugary drinks and organic vegan options to replace the horrible items that are presently being served? This would spark change. All it takes is for some people who are influential and can make an impact to emerge and be the first to do so. If Matt Damon, Leonardo DiCaprio, Johnny Depp, Angelina Jolie, and other big-name actors demanded that movie theaters serve real food, fresh, organic juices and smoothies, and other healthy organic food choices, or they would not permit the movie to be played in that theater, I think this would motivate them to make the change. What if the movie directors and producers also demanded the same? All it takes is for one famous person to start the trend. These actors, athletes, and musicians possess the leverage we need to unite and save the planet from corporate terrorism, disease, and global depletion. I wish more people were like Leonardo DiCaprio. He's doing so much to save the oceans, to save the rainforests. Other people need to step up and follow his lead. I know how simple it is to duplicate all of the garbage food items that are served in ballparks, stadiums, and venues using real organic ingredients. It is possible to make a healthy replacement for each menu item. When fans eat the healthier options, they will be much happier, healthier, and more energized. This would equal out to more profits for the owners and would also add to the lifespan of the fans so they get more years of their loyalty. I think the artists, musicians, and athletes owe it to their fans to at least help them remain healthy. These fans are loyal to them and are practically paying their salaries, so in return they should at least be committed to helping them remain in good health. If I were a famous athlete, I would demand that the television advertisements being aired during commercial breaks in each game I play in be only for anti-smoking, anti-alcohol, and anti-GMO campaigns. Other various organizations that want to save the planet, maybe like Greenpeace or Earth First, One Green Planet, and I would make sure they're teaching us about how we can save our planet and show us how to eat real food. This would cripple the profits of corporations who are responsible for destroying the planet and serving us garbage foods, tobacco, and alcohol, and as a result of that, this would solve many problems in the world. I'm tired of having to pick up litter that people who are sedated with food chemicals keep throwing on the ground. The earth is our home. The land base is the most important thing to us. Why can we not get this through our skulls? We need to be more aware of the choices that each dollar we spend has on the environment, and we need to do our role to clean up the planet. Please consider being more respectful to nature. Please consider veganism, and please clean up your act. Thank you for listening to my rant.